Are moving forward in Annapolis. Republican Governor Larry Hogan says it is not business as usual this session, and he gives a lot of the credit to the strong team that he's put in place. Looking back on his first 60 days in office, Hogan says in many cases they're pushing past party lines to get things done.
During the term of my acting as governor.
When Lawrence Hogan took the oath as our 62nd governor in January, he was determined to bring something back to Maryland.
We're changing the kind of attitude that's in state government towards being more customer-friendly, customer service-oriented, letting people know that the taxpayers are the customers and that we're all here to serve them.
With the changing of the guard came another sign, letting businesses know Maryland was open for business again.
We lost over 100,000 jobs, and our revenues have declined. So we're now dealing with budget repercussions because of the revenues situation. We don't have enough money to pay for all the important services.
To cover that, Hogan says he submitted a budget with cuts of about 2% to practically every agency.
The House came up with a budget last week. We're only halfway through the process. We still have to work with the Senate. But I think we're on track to finding a bipartisan solution.
As only the second Republican governor in 46 years, Hogan says he knew he'd face challenges from a Democratic legislature. What's it been like working with the Democratic legislature and the Mikes?
The Mikes have been interesting and fun. I've known them both for a long time, so it wasn't, I didn't come in here as, completely naive as to what was going on.
Speaking of Senate President Mike Miller and House Speaker Michael Bush, Hogan says while they don't always agree, he's pleased so far.
There's a lot of rhetoric and people making, critical comments back and forth, but the reality is behind the scenes we're making a lot of progress. I don't care which side of the aisle the idea comes from. I don't care who gets the credit. I just want to solve some of the serious problems that face us.
One example, Hogan says, the stormwater remediation fee, or the rain tax, that was a focal point of his campaign.
While my legislation with my name on it was killed by the committee, legislation by Senator Miller, which accomplishes the exact same thing, is moving forward and is going to pass the Senate and looking like we have a pretty good chance of getting it through the House.
Hogan is no stranger to politics. He grew up in the shadow of a father who was a U.S. congressman and former PG County executive. With his first elected job being this state's commander-in-chief, Hogan's thankful for his business background.
Reaching compromise is something that I've been doing for 3 decades. I think there's a difference here. It's not as easy to get things done, certainly. Running a small business, you make the decisions and you move forward and you do it. Here, you try to make a decision. You got to convince an awful lot of people to go along with that decision.
Some decisions have come easier than others, like taking on the heroin epidemic. He's having summits across the state under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Boyd Rutherford.
It's a problem that's tearing apart. It's killing our kids. It's tearing apart families and communities. We've got to bring together treatment providers, drug counseling services. We got to work on recidivism.
On education?
I've said all along, if we can add to the increases we already put in for education and find more ways to invest in our kids without bankrupting the state, without putting us further in debt or raising taxes, then I'm very much in favor of trying to do that.
The governor says there have been adjustments. He and his wife, Yumi, have 3 grown daughters, 1 grandchild, Daniela Velez. And up until January, they were empty nesters. But now in the governor's mansion, there are state police standing by to keep him safe and amazing chefs adding to his waistline.
For a guy who's weight challenged, to have an unlimited supply of sweets and baked goods, it's a terrible shock. And I have to do something about it because I think I've probably gained 20 pounds since I've been here with all the stress. So that was a big surprise. I had no idea I was going to drastically change my eating habits by being governor.
The governor says a big focus of his administration is to keep businesses here, to welcome others, and create more jobs for Maryland. Hogan believes that is critical to turning the economy around here in our state.
He's a real guy.